Live, Die, Repeat, or is that the name of the movie? Well, at number 29, it's Edge of Tomorrow, or maybe it's Live, Die, Repeat. But this is long play video. Welcome down to the shop on a Saturday night. This is pure Saturday night popcorn cinema at its very best. For 29 on my favorite top 100 films, Edge of Tomorrow, aka Live, Die, Repeat, aka All You Need Is Kill. All titles that this film was called at various times.
All You Need Is Kill
was based on a
terrible
book called All You Need Is Kill.
How on earth has that book done well with a terrible title like that? I mean, can anyone make money these days? I mean, what's happening?
And then Live, Die, Repeat was the subtitle. That was actually the title the director wanted. We'll talk a little bit about it in a little bit. And now they apparently the sequel for this film is very much on.
Interesting.
And the director is determined to have it be called Live, Die, Repeat, Repeat. Which again, just stupid.
No, that's a terrible title.
So
this is why you're the director and not the person who names the film. Yeah.
So yes, Edge of Tomorrow. Said director is Doug Liman, who we've just obviously seen wow us with Bourne and all the crazy stories from that, and obviously starring Tom Cruise and Emily Blunt in a top two that rivals him and everyone else.
Stone and Gosling. Yeah, this is what we're saying.
I was more thinking him and Cameron from Night and Day, but
yeah, true. I can't believe it's taken us this long to get another Tom Cruise film on the list. Night and Day was like a night and day ago.
Well, and this comes at a very interesting point in his career again, where really, obviously he's had the classic that is Night and Day, which isn't particularly good, but literally, like, again, his career was basically over at this stage. Although Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol,
you heard it here first.
Well, Ghost Protocol obviously is actually his. I think it might even still be the biggest grossing Mission Impossible, or like Mission Impossible 4 did so much better than Mission Impossible 3. But then he's got Rock of Ages, Jack Reacher, Oblivion, and then comes into Edge of Tomorrow. And I think, I was thinking about this when I obviously knew that this was coming up, and we have covered Tom Cruise before, but I think it's just that he's a comedy actor. He's not an action actor. I don't think.
So
I think he's like
he's comedy action.
Not even action. There's very few films. If you look at all of his films, there's very few. Actually, it's just Mission Impossible and Edge of Tomorrow, really, that are action.
Yeah. Okay.
And there's a lot of running. There's a lot of running. But again, running, not really action. It's more story driven.
Just running. Have we found?
And then obviously,
have you got to the crux of it that he's always just practicing for a marathon, and he uses these films just to get some extra running in.
Just to keep running. Like even Top Gun, obviously, like he's sat in a plane. And that's about it. So Mission Impossible is really obviously he's now clearly trying to kill himself doing stunts, but and I think when he does try to do action or drama without comedy, I just don't think it's very good, because this is coming after Oblivion, which is not a good film. I don't really think the Jack Reacher movies are good movies.
They're really not. And now that the Amazon TV series is out, that guy is definitely Jack Reacher. He just makes these films look so bad.
And then obviously War of the Worlds was a bit of a disaster all around. Collateral, where he's trying, again, like he just doesn't.
Collateral's all right, but not an action movie, you don't think?
Well, but also like him just as a serious guy, I just don't think works. I think he has to have a bit of comedy, which is why I think this one I particularly like. You know, it's almost got that Tom Cruise comedy chops, like night and day. But like it's got a lot of action and a lot else going on. No, and I don't know whether, I mean, there is definitely a reading of this that it is like having a go at. Haven't even said what the reading is.
Wow, I thought you meant like as in like during COVID they all sat down and read through it. I was like, wow, he did that. Amazing.
It wouldn't surprise you shouting at people for getting the reading. No, there is a reading of this that says like it's a criticism of action movies and like the fact that the star keeps dying over and over again but never actually dies. Then it's like sort of almost the gamification of action movies and stuff like that. I don't know whether that's reading a bit too much into it. I do think that there is something that it does say something about war, because I think that comes from the book, where like who's cannon fodder, who's not, and like the fact that I think what's so good about this, especially like the first couple of times that he's in the war, is people just die from like really stupid stuff. Like it's not actually like they're not actually shot, they're just like they fall over or they do something else, or they it's just completely stupid stuff. And then but I think from the book it comes that he was basically just a soldier. I think it's a Japanese book, and he was a Japanese soldier who just kept dying over and over again in war, like and he just couldn't get out of it. And I do think that it does say something about that, and something about like with the squad and stuff that he gets to know and stuff like that. But realistically, it is just a really fun sci-fi action movie with plenty of jokes in it, where he's not sort of trying to play a super like sensible like serious character. Like there's the usual kind of Cruise cockiness and charm that goes with it, and I think that's what he's best at.
Yeah, and I think that works well in this film because Emily Blunt is really good, and she delivers some very good lines, and she's a good sort of foil. Like they're back and forth with the comedy lines. And I think you're right. If he's doing comedy, he needs you need someone to work off. Otherwise, those lines just sort of die, right? They just hang in the air and like, oh, that was a bit awkward. Whereas I think she really, I think she's a big part of this film as well. Obviously, we've spoken about Cruise, but I think she helps carry this film a lot. I think her, the way she, develops her character in this, I think is really good, and I think she's like really good in this. It's because she's not really known as an action person, and I would say
it kind of comes out of nowhere. I think like obviously you've got Devil Wears Prada, but that's like 8 years before this. I have a soft spot for the Adjustment Bureau. It has to be said, with Matt Damon. Where
you love Matt Damon.
I do have a soft spot for Adjustment Bureau. It would be in the like 110s. I do like that film.
Wow.
It's just like obviously a bit of romance, which is why you like it. But really like after this, then I think she people look at her differently. Like she's in Sicario, which actually I haven't seen, which she's supposed to be really good in, and then she's obviously got the Quiet Place films and stuff like that. Kind of all
Mary
the way.
Poppins, Oppenheimer, The Fall Guy with our favorite.
Yeah, you really liked her in The Fall Guy. I think you
I thought The Fall Guy was good. Yeah. She's more. I mean, obviously Ryan Gosling's trying to be. They're trying to set him up as the main person, but she's in it substantially as well. I feel like there are two pretty solid storylines in that film, and I think they work well together.
But, and I do think like definitely in this film you're absolutely right. Like she plays such a great kind of foil to Tom Cruise, and is actually the badass and actually like the actual soldier in it. That I think without that I think it does fall flat.
Well, I actually haven't seen this for a while, actually, so I'm going to be interested to see. I do hope it holds up, because old Doug and Bourne, they have not held the test of time for me.
Aged well.
Yeah, so I'm
Yeah,
hoping this ages better. I mean, it's a good
yeah,
number of years further on, so technology is a lot better, action scenes
yeah,
a lot
yeah.
better.
I mean,
So I
2014. This
imagine it is
is
better.
yeah. This is
Yeah,
well. I mean, this is one of the newer ones on the list, but still 11 years old, which is a bit weird.
yeah, I
And I
know.
think like because it's under 2 hours as well. I mean, the fact that this film is 30 minutes shorter than Hook, I think says a lot about both films. So
Yes, that says, oh my God, how this is 2 hours, so it's still not short. How is this 30 minutes shorter than Hook?
yeah,
Oh my
yeah,
God.
yeah.
Yeah, that film. Let's not go with that again. Uh,
Yeah, so so Doug Liman,
hmm.
the director, obviously you met. Yeah,
Yeah.
he apparently was still doing his usual antics of just like filming everything and then
No,
deciding
yeah.
to put together the film in the edit, which I think you kind of get.
Yeah.
It's a
Classic
bit all
Doug.
over the shop. Yeah, there's like the ending is particularly weird, I think, and just kind of brings everything together. It's a bit like in a romance, ending it with a wedding. It just kind of the ending I
Yeah.
don't think is great, but you just kind of go along with it. It's just by that stage I think
Yeah.
you're through.
Yeah.
I think it is obviously it's quite an interesting. Obviously, it's got the Groundhog Day premise, but the
Yeah.
funny thing is
Yeah.
like not resetting until you die. And I think it'd be really funny, wouldn't it, if they'd done that in Groundhog Day and Bill Murray just lived his entire life and then died of old age and then reset to that day. You'd be like, wait, what?
Yeah.
What's going
Yeah.
on?
Yeah. How has this happened? Yeah.
Why have I come
Yeah.
back
God,
to
can you
this day?
imagine?
Um,
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. And I think it
Yeah.
is
It's
like
a
I
good
do
premise.
again, I think Tom Cruise gets away with just being that person that you can watch die over and over again. And I think like I think there's a lot of people who are like it's just fun watching Tom Cruise die, and he has a
Poor
lot of
old
like
Tom.
funny like screams and yells and stuff in
Yeah.
the film when he does die as well. So I think that's something definitely to look out
Yeah.
for. So
Yeah. And so this is, well, I guess we can't necessarily say, but I'd imagine this is probably your highest ranking Tom Cruise film. So, and it's
yes, yeah.
interesting that when we think about our sort of age and our, when there was a lot of 80s, 90s films that he was in that, he obviously made him who he was, and he was very different there. So I'm surprised, yeah, you've not got any of his older, classics in there either.
Yeah, yeah. I was never kind of a Top Gun guy, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's kind of fine, but like fighter jets, like it's kind of like cars. Like it's just, I'm not that interested really.
It's weird
Um,
because you were all over Star Wars. I would have thought you'd be all over Top Gun.
well, it's funny, isn't it? Because I don't particularly like Star Wars because of the ships. You hate Star Wars because of the ships. You want it all to be on a planet. You don't want
Mm.
any flying
Yeah,
around.
yeah, exactly. None of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then yeah, I think like Rain Man, I think is fine. Cocktail is
Yeah.
fine, but yeah, I don't think they're
Cocktail's
going to be on
brilliant.
the.
Come on.
Yeah, it's good. It's enjoyable, but a lot again. I think Cocktail on a rewatch, and I don't know whether this was coming in season two.
Oh,
On a rewatch, I think the Fifth Element rule might be
oh,
invoked because I
really?
think there's a
Yeah.
lot of Cocktail that is not a good movie, and there's like five
Uh,
scenes that are, which is basically him
wow.
standing up doing poetry. It's a very dead poets
Yeah.
as well. So yeah, yeah, that's the thing. Like, and then yeah, into the
Yeah. Fair
90s,
enough.
obviously, like Jerry Maguire again, I appreciate, but yeah, just
Yeah.
it's
It was huge for its time, wasn't it? Like
yeah,
not I'm like a huge fan, but you've got to show appreciation for it. It was a
yeah,
big film, wasn't it?
but like not funny enough. I think I like funny Cruise. I
You
like
like Funny Cruise.
yeah,
Yeah.
but like action funny Cruise, like Tropic Thunder. I
Oh, okay.
think.
You're very specific now.
I
I
mean,
hope
Tropic
Tom's
Thunder. I
listening.
think.
Tom, we won specifically.
Just make it funny.
Yeah.
Actually, funnily, American Made. Did you ever watch that one
No.
where he's a drug runner? Also, funnily enough,
Oh, I did see it.
directed
Yeah.
by Doug Liman as well.
Oh,
I think
yeah,
that's a
yeah.
good movie. I think
Yeah.
that's watchable. I don't know. Where do you
Yeah.
stand on Mission Impossibles? I don't know. And did we cover
Um,
this in Night and
I
Day?
don't.
And will your opinion still be the same?
Um, I mean, well, we all know that's going to be no. I think that the first one was very good. It came out and it was very different. We didn't really have anything like that at the time. And so when the first one came out, it was brilliant. We're like, wow, this is great. Is the second one the John Woo one? It is, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah,
It's still, I think when I first saw it, I thought it was good, but you can't rewatch it. There's way too much slow-mos of doves. It's not,
classic
yeah,
Woo.
yeah. I think they got better. I think they have got better and better. I think when they've expanded the team, they brought in Simon Pegg. I think they've got better. They are just the classic sort of action movies, right? So it's just sit down, get some popcorn, relax. Don't worry, you can turn your brain off. You're just gonna have a bit of fun. And
Yeah.
you know that he does all the stunts now, so it's like, God, that adds a little bit extra to it. I think he's expanded the team and the people within the Mission Impossible world, which I think is good because if you're going to keep doing so many, you need those characters. So yeah, no, I think they're quite good now. They're very easy watching. I mean, I'll definitely go and see the last one. But yeah, what about you? Not enough romance for you?
No, just not enough. Just not enough. I think in one of them, doesn't he after a girl, or doesn't he give it all up for a girl?
Yeah,
I mean, it's very Bond, isn't it?
yeah,
No,
it
I've
is
not.
Bundy.
I
Yeah.
don't think I've watched the last one. I'm not even sure I
Oh
watched the
my
one before that. I
God.
mean, they're all pretty much the same now, right? Is that he's like disavowed and has to save everyone. So
They're
I'm
all
not sure
completely different. I don't know what you're
if
talking about.
if you showed apart from how much plastic surgery he's had, if you showed 20 minutes of any Mission Impossible film, would you be able to tell
Yeah,
which film it was from? I
yeah,
don't think so.
that's
So
a good point. Well, maybe we'll have to do them all.
yeah, that would be season 5.
Yeah.
Uh, I just looking at my notes from Night and Day. All the categories
Hmm.
we did were completely different.
Oh, well, there
So
we go. Yeah.
we
Evolved.
yeah, such different
Yeah,
times, different times.
it is. Well, I think I remember a little bit about this, which is good because a lot of it
Did
repeats. So
did you
yeah.
did you watch it at the cinema? Was it something that you?
Hmm. Now you're questioning my memory a little bit too much here, Andy. It's I can remember if I've seen it. Where I've seen it is a step too far. No, I think I did see it at the cinema, and it's one of these films. Really, when you ideally, if you can watch it the first time you watch it in the cinema, because it's a
Yeah,
big scenes, aren't there? But yeah, I think it starts off pretty. From my memory, it starts off, it gets going pretty early on,
yeah,
and then almost sort of pulls you back into the story after that, and that's when you start seeing Emily Blunt. I'm glad that her character, or I mean, from memory, her character comes into it pretty quickly, and I'm glad that they do that because, like I said, I do think she's very good in this film, and she definitely helps carry it, I would say.
yeah,
Um, and then it all sort of, and then obviously they start going through the story, don't they, after that, which is good. So I feel like it's got a big bang start, and then the
yeah.
story begins. So yeah, I feel like this should be good. So which worries me when this is on your list.
Could
So
be
we'll
could be the
see.
action at the top. Yeah, this was
Yeah.
also prime 3D time. I remember we went to see it at the
Oh yeah.
IMAX
Okay. Yeah.
opening weekend. We went to see it at the IMAX in 3D.
Yeah.
And then, funny enough,
Amazing.
when I was searching around for it, that was in the May, and I bought it on 3D DVD, Blu-ray
Yeah.
in October. So it
Yeah.
was like I've watched it. It's good. I'm buying it on DVD,
Yeah.
and and I
Wow.
think I've watched it at home in 3D as well. I don't know. I'm not
Wow.
even sure that my 3D glasses still work. Maybe I'll dig them
Yeah.
out, see if
Do
I
you
can
remember
watch it in
that? I
3D.
was talking to someone about that recently about how 3D, like you're in the cinema and you would always, and it became huge, didn't it? And everyone's like, yeah,
Yeah.
3D, you had to buy 3D TVs. And then everyone's like, ugh, no, it's too boring. I can't, it's too much effort putting glasses on while I'm watching a movie at home. I'm not doing it.
I don't know. I don't
Yeah,
even.
it
I've
does,
still
didn't it?
got my 3D Blu-ray player, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure if the TV works. Obviously in the shop. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know whether the TV that we'll watch this on will be 3D. So maybe we'll have to try
it out.
It's
like a CRT. It's like 14 inches. Yeah. Like squinting to see. Block. Was that Tom Cruise? Was that Emily Blunt?
Yeah. Put the videotape in again. No, I think it would be good.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this.
I presume Emily Blunt's asleep at some stage, and Tom Cruise tries to kiss her, because that seems to be a bad thing through a few of these films.
Your list, yeah. I've already put in a request for you to go and see someone about it.
He knew it happened so much. Everyone, or at least all of them. I think it's really good. I think Emily Blunt's really good. I think Tom Cruise, like this suits him. So I don't have any qualms. I can't remember the last time I watched it. I'm fairly sure I've watched it kind of recently.
Well, and we should say as well, right? It's what, number 29. That's pretty high up. I wouldn't have thought you've had a Cruise film this high. So I'm interested to see where this leads after we've watched it.
I mean, is it going to be a Return of the Jedi Star Wars situation where actually we just swap it out for Night and Day, and Night and Day crashes the top 30?
I mean, Night and Day should be in the top 30. Having rewatched it now, like, that film is good.
I just think this is super fun, and I remember it, just being like really, really watchable,
good action,
really fun.
Well.
It moves at a pace. It's got something to say, but like, I think it deploys comedic Cruise really well. So well, let's get it on, and we'll see you after the jump.
Cruisy, I think. I was trying to think how I would describe this, and when I say cruisy, I mean it's in Tom Cruise.
A lot of cruising. Okay.
It's just, I think we discussed this earlier, didn't we? And I think you've nailed. You should really be doing his autobiography, because I think you've nailed Cruise. You know what he's best at, and you should maybe be his agent as well.
I should be his agent, because literally. I think this is the last good non-franchise movie that he does.
Yeah.
And that's 11 years ago now. So
I think that is the thing. Like, I do like the Mission Impossible films, and they did start getting bigger. And obviously, he was seems like from a personal point of view, was really enjoying them as well. The fact that, he was doing all the stunts and all that stuff. So, but it's weird, because I feel like he's done a really good job of, and across his career, not getting too tight casted. Like, he's maybe a little bit more action, but he's done some dramas, he's done some comedies, so he's actually covered off a reasonable amount. But I think since Mission Impossible now, he is definitely, everyone's like, no, that's just what Cruise does, that's it. And I think, I mean, I do like them, but you're right. Then you see things like this, you go, oh, maybe, a Night and Day. Maybe we're missing out on a bit of Cruise.
Well, not necessarily Night and Day, but in this, I think there's, like, you do see him go on a journey, and he is good with it, because he just plays the arrogant schmuck at the beginning so well, and then he's obviously tries to blackmail a general and bribe a master sergeant, neither of which works particularly well for him. But like that's the thing, he plays that so well, and you do see him like, that's the thing. I think why I like this film so much is it's that great combination of, you're kind of rooting for him, but also you're kind of fine with seeing him die a lot, because actually you're also just like, when he's getting hurt in the training, you're like, that's actually quite good fun to see him get hurt a lot. So
we'll have to cover this off in another episode about Andy. Maybe you can't be his agent after all. Tom Cruise has mysteriously died this morning. His agent is the number one song.
He'll never be found. That'll be for next week.
And he does, like, I remember, like, when he's then, you're right, because he's all that sort of, like, he's confident, and then when he's actually gets dropped on the beach, and he is, and I wrote down here, Cruise does confuse really well. And he does. he's
Yeah.
like sort of like, what am I doing here? Like he's actually good at it.
Yeah.
And you're right, you kind of see the phases of Cruise all come through.
Yeah.
Which I think really is why this film hell works.
Yeah. There's very few times where actually he's bossing it. Like there's literally only
Yeah.
like a couple of very short scenes because even right up until the end, he kind of doesn't know
Mm.
what he's doing. And like
Yeah.
there's like the one rampage where they first get off the beach together, and then there's the one rampage when he's just doing it all himself, where he's like the action
Yeah.
guy. But apart from that,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, I love it when they go and see the general, and he's like, "Look, just don't
Yeah.
shoot him this time." And he's like,
Yeah.
you're so stubborn. Like, what is that all about?"
Yeah.
And still, he's trying to like argue with
Yeah.
him rather than be action. And I think that's why it's
Yeah.
so much fun. Even when he's like tied up on in the hospital, and she's like, "Well, I got out of these in like 2 minutes. What are you playing? What are you
Yeah.
playing at?" And he's just
What you
like,
doing?
he's so rubbish. And the amount of times that he dies
Mm.
and just gives out like a really like weak scream, it's just
Yeah.
brilliant.
I think, and there's so many good ways that they do it at the start. Like obviously the first one he dies on the beach, it's like, like his
Yeah,
face is melting. You're like, wow, that's
yeah,
actually pretty impressive. Um, and then obviously you've got the one where, he's talking to her and it's like, am I okay? And she said, you've got a hole in your chest. It's like, oh, okay. But one of some of my favorite ones are the comedy ones, like when he's trying to
yeah,
get out of the of like doing the press ups and stuff, and he's
yeah,
running
yeah.
across, and the car just hits him. You're
they're
like,
just
well,
like they're just like, what was he thinking?
yeah, yeah. Why is he
And
doing
even
that?
then,
Is
like
he just
you
having
hear
enough?
you hear him just go. It's just
Yeah,
brilliant.
just a little whimper. Yeah,
Yeah.
and
And even, I
it
mean,
is good.
again with Emily Blunt just being no nonsense, where
Yeah,
he's like, no, I'm
yeah,
okay, and she's like, no, no, your leg's broken, we should reset. He's like, no, I'm fine, I'll be fine, and she just shoots him.
yeah. Yeah, she's like ruthless. I mean, she's very good in this. I do think
Yeah,
she
she's
works
great.
well.
Yeah, yeah,
But yeah, it must be crazy being in that world because even though you're pretty confident it's going to reset and you're going to be fine, you
mm.
don't know like 100%. And
Yeah,
also,
exactly. Yeah,
even does it hurt a little bit for a millisecond just before you wake
yeah,
up? Like it must be a bit strange. And like you are going to be like, I really don't want to get shot in the head again.
yeah,
I
yeah.
really, I really don't want
But
this to
that's
happen.
also like every time that he wakes up, he's just like, and like gets the like. It's not like
Mm,
he's just
that's
opening his
true.
eyes to Sonny and
Yeah,
Cher, is it? It's like that's the thing. Like
yeah,
it's almost every time he is like he does get, like, and obviously then looks at the bus going past with her picture, and you can tell that he's like starting to get really annoyed with this.
yeah, yeah,
This is not
yeah.
fun.
I'm
So
understanding
yeah.
why she's called that now. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
but
yeah.
what I
That's a
also
good
think
point.
is, I think what then for me like elevates it that little bit more as well is that then like two thirds of the way through, it then switches to her dying all the time,
Yeah,
and it
yeah.
starts to be like you know at the end of each kind of time, it's
Mm,
him looking at her as she's died, and I do think that
yeah,
that just like that almost brings back. Oh, this is war. This isn't like a superhero movie. That
yeah, yeah.
there is consequence, even though there isn't consequence. I think that's like just makes the film
Mm,
just feel so much more
yeah.
visceral that it's not just him doing it all the time, but then you start seeing her just killed and killed and killed, and like
Mm,
you're starting to then
yeah,
yeah, it just sort of
understand
brings
it.
it back that like yeah,
Yeah.
you're just you know, and obviously he cares about it because and she says about
Mm,
the person like yeah, saw him die 300 times, and I think that's
yeah.
where it's so clever that it again just sort of brings you back to it, so it's never like you never feel
Mm,
like there isn't any jeopardy like all the way
yeah,
through you actually think you know that there is, even though it's just going to reset. Like yeah, just
yeah,
I for me it just always seems like there's sort of yeah there's something on the line,
yeah,
and I think that's why I like it because that's
yeah.
super difficult to do.
Yeah, and I think that's like with the pieces you spoke about earlier about the general, like when he's like, "Don't shoot him," because he's just seen so much death, and he's like, "I don't need to see more people die." Like for you,
Yeah,
you just see this once and that's it. Whereas I see you shoot him every single time, so I've seen him
yeah,
die 12 times or whatever it is. And
yeah,
obviously,
yeah,
at one point, he's got to be thinking, "Well, hold on a minute. There's going to be a point where." we might do this,
Yeah, yeah.
and
He's going to be
the
dead. Yeah,
next day goes on, and so yeah, and
yeah,
he would
yeah,
be dead. So it's like, well, actually, do we do that or do we not? But
yeah.
yeah, no, I agree. I think that's done really well. I think the little side characters are built just nicely, but not too much. So
Mm,
they've got a couple of scenes
mm,
with them, which is good. You have like it does feel like it's insurmountable. Like it's like when they've
yeah.
got to get to Germany, and you're like, how is this going to happen? You can't even get and I think that comes to the aliens as well. I wrote this down. I thought the aliens are good and they're very
Yeah,
quick and fast, right? So it's not that you can just sort of sneak around the side. It's sort of like
yeah,
you can't. Like it's tough. It's really difficult to get out.
yeah, yeah,
And I think they do that bit well. And then obviously when they get to the barn and stuff, and they get in the helicopter, and he's just like, God, like, you know, what can we do? Like it's virtually it's so hard just to get to this bit.
yeah,
And I'm
yeah.
like, can I keep going on? He must have thought at times like, do I bother?
Yeah, yeah, I love it that bit.
Resetting.
For the helicopter, it's just brilliant when he's
Mm,
like, she's like, "Oh, can you fly this?" He's like, "Well, I can take off, but I haven't got the landing yet." And so you're
yeah.
like, again, like, yeah, he would have died
Mm,
every time that he crash landed the
yeah.
helicopter. So
Yeah.
it's it's bits like that that yeah,
Yeah.
like, and the thing that's where he does well because you just see him get more and more tired, and you see him just like
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
just the
Yeah.
grimness.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you've got sort of the training montage, and that's all well and good, but you just see
Yeah.
like he just the weight of it all just starts
Yeah.
getting to it, and then even with that, like that scene is sort of slows is a really good point to slow down the whole movie when they're in the barn, and he's just like,
Yeah.
this is as far as you go, like there's no way, and
Yeah.
she's like, well, it doesn't matter about me, and he's like, well, no, yeah, I just don't want to keep seeing you
Yeah.
die, and yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's where I think why I really enjoy and why I think it's really good.
Yeah. And it's good, isn't it? I was thinking obviously there's going to be the comparisons to an extent with Groundhog Day, and that that's the other sort of time lapse sort of film. And I was thinking this. I was thinking, which day would be better or worse to repeat? And because I mean, this one obviously is you actually die every time, whereas he
Yeah.
doesn't have to die. But I wonder if the monotony of Groundhog Day is just like whether that would be worse, because one, I feel like this one you'd physically die and it'd be annoying, but that one I feel like you'd be mentally crushed, and I don't think you'd ever come back from it. You'd just be like, I'm stuck in this tiny town with this stupid groundhog. Like, what
Don't
the
drive
hell? At
angry.
least,
Don't
I'm
drive
fighting
angry.
aliens and it's,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, the funny thing
Yeah.
is, I'm not sure. Like, so they say that there's a limit of a day on it, but obviously
Mm,
there isn't really, right? It's every time
yeah.
it's died, and I
I
thought it
got
would be
that.
really funny if it was Groundhog Day and like he lived his entire life and then died of old age and then went back to that day. He'd just be like, "What? Why this day?
Yeah.
What was so? What? This is just the
What's
most
happening?
bizarre, this is the
Yeah.
most random thing ever."
Yeah. That would be awful. That would be really bad. Living your entire life and then just going back to that day and you'd be like, what on earth has happened?
How long should I go? But I think that,
Yeah.
then that's where, like, obviously he does just, yeah, go off and, trademark motorbike moment, that
Yeah.
obviously
Yeah.
Cruise
Yeah.
gets in his movies as much as Brad gets in his eating.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, then it is sort of, yeah, he can't kind of escape because then obviously the aliens actually come to London and stuff, and you're just
Yeah.
like, yeah,
Yeah. You can't
sooner
go
or
away.
later you would just be like, yeah, you know what, I'm just gonna not.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna escape and go
Yeah.
away.
Just going to have a drink today. Yeah.
Yeah,
Have a
yeah,
day off
exactly.
today and then I'll come back again tomorrow. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Start again.
Do you think you could? Because I guess sometimes he might have to, because she says, make sure that you're dead. So there's going to be
Mm,
some times when he would be by himself that he would have to like he gets the claymore at some point. But there's probably a time he'd have had to shoot himself.
yeah,
Like that would be pretty tough. I was trying to think, could I do that? Like because everything is in your mind is telling you don't do this because you're designed to try and stay alive as long as
yeah,
possible, and this is counterintuitive. I'd be like, God, it must be tough, especially after he's had, like, if he'd had a couple of pints in that pub, You know, his aim might have been off as well.
He's
So,
just like, I'm
yeah,
amazing.
yeah,
I'll be
yeah,
fine. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
That would be tough doing that. Yeah. Was there
yeah.
anything that you thought that you didn't like? I thought the ending's a little bit,
The ending,
you know,
yeah. The end,
uh,
they kind of just run out of steam, don't they, a little bit? And I think
yeah,
that like that's the problem. Like by in the ending, you don't really care enough about J Squad. I think like they
yeah,
probably if they were going to go for the
yeah.
same
Okay.
runtime as Hook, I think they could have added in a bit more with the J Squad so that like you actually
Okay.
cared because obviously
Yeah,
those two guys have like the you know they sort of yeah blow up the tanker to try and give them time and then the
yeah,
guy on the in the ship that is like shooting from the
yeah,
door and stuff and the problem is you're just not really invested in them at all because
yeah,
you've only really seen them for like you know in two scenes, which is basically the first bit where they're all really horrible to him.
yeah,
So you're just like,
yeah,
okay, well, they're just
yeah.
all assholes. And then
Mm,
the second bit is where they're picking it a fight with him, where the two of them like want to fight him. And those are
yeah,
really
yeah.
the only two interactions you see him have. So yeah, like even like watching them die a bit more. I mean, obviously the big guy gets taken out by the ship a few times, but like it's not like
That is
yeah,
brutal. Yeah,
it's just yeah, it's quite funny, isn't it? But there's and that's the thing, isn't it? It's the humor there, and I think
yeah,
they if like they get it keeps it's funny all the way through. I think, and it goes for that like night and day
yeah,
humor and action, and then at the
yeah.
end, I think they just kind of they try and go almost a bit to action and sci-fi and like yeah,
Mm,
I just think the way they set it up is a bit weak because
yeah.
like but like right at
It's
the end
hard.
where he's got the pins and he like turns around after getting stabbed and he just like opens his hand and all the pins float in the water. Like that's a really cool shot. But it's
Yeah,
like they it almost from the moment they land in Paris to that moment they're just yeah,
yeah.
it's just a bit weak, isn't it?
Yeah, and you know, it had to be Cruz that sort of saved everyone as well, didn't it? I guess
Yeah.
that was a
Yeah.
I it is I didn't feel too bad about it because it takes you on such a fanciful sort of journey that you're like,
Yeah.
I don't really know how you're going to close this off. And so, yeah, you chose this option. It's not the best, but it's okay because I didn't
Yeah.
know how else you like. If you're asking me how I would end the film, I don't know. And the fact that obviously he somehow resets 3 days earlier, I'm like,
Yeah,
I'm not
exactly.
even going to bother trying to work out in my brain how this works out. Just going to
Yeah.
accept that and move on. 'Cause he's probably worked out some intricate system of why that would happen, but I'm like, I'm not going to try.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so yeah, I think that was the only bit, but I think definitely the aliens are very good. And then the bit when he does finally get to Germany, and then they're just like one of them's trying to attack it, and the Omega, not the Omega, the Alpha's like,
Mm.
no, get away from him. We're not, we can't kill him. And you're
Yeah.
like, that was like clever. I was like, that was good. And they're like, yeah,
Yeah.
you're trapped now. This is what we wanted. So
Yeah. Yeah.
that
Has to
was clever.
drown
That was
himself.
good.
That's a, yeah, and that's an ask as
Yeah.
well, isn't it?
Oof.
Yeah, no, for
Yeah.
sure. And that's the thing. Like, yeah, I think, and even like right at the end when he turns up, and he's gonna like talk to her and be all like, "I know everything about you," which would just be super creepy. Which again, Cruise just fits the
Yeah.
bill, doesn't he? Because Cruise just does seem like he's super creepy.
He's just,
So you
yeah,
know,
but in a charming way. Yeah, you're like,
yeah,
oh, he
exactly.
seems nice, but what he's saying is creepy. I'm not really sure.
It's always got that edge of
Mm.
creepiness, you know. Yeah, I mean, a lot of the kind of the reviews and podcasts they talk about the romance, like and the kiss at the end. And actually, I don't have any problems with that because I don't think it is. They don't have any chemistry. I don't think. Like, I think even the
No,
kiss at the end
no,
is like, as she says,
we're gonna die.
we're both not leaving here. And so I think it's
Yeah.
just like, yeah, it's just like a
Mm.
goodbye kiss. I don't think it's supposed to be
No.
romantic or anything like that. And even when he goes back at the end, I'm a bit like he just wants to like tell her that it worked
Yeah.
or that like
Yeah.
it did it.
Yeah.
I don't see them
Yeah.
in a
Agreed.
relationship afterwards because there's zero
No.
chemistry between them, and I just don't think that that's. I just don't think that's
Yeah.
what they're going for at all. So yeah,
Yeah.
don't have any issues with that.
No, I agree. I think absolutely. I think that. Yeah. I think you're right. Nailed it. Yeah, he definitely, because she saw her friend or whoever it was die, like what you said,
Yeah,
300 times, whatever. So she knows like the pain, and it's not necessarily a romance. It's just my God, what I had to go through watching someone who I care about, regardless of whether it was
yeah,
friend or it's horrific. And
yeah,
so, yeah, I felt like she kind of, that was I kind of know what you've been through,
yeah.
thanks for doing this type thing. Yeah, it didn't really feel like it was, I didn't think that was out of place at all. I thought that, if you were about to die, you'd be like, I mean, what else are you going to do? Like,
Kiss, may as well kiss Tom Cruise.
yeah, high five.
Apparently, apparently
Rock, paper, scissors.
it wasn't in the script. Allegedly, it wasn't in the script, and like
Oh,
Emily
yeah.
Blunt just thought that yeah, like she was in the moment and she did it, and then like afterwards she was just like, yeah, it just sort of seemed like it would be the thing that
Yeah.
you would do and stuff. And
Yeah.
yeah, I do
Brings
think
the
it works really
humanity
well.
back,
Yeah,
right? Like
exactly.
it's,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
But you know,
And I think you're right.
it's
At the end,
obviously it's just like most of my films. There's no real romance in it, so
lies, absolute lies. If you listen to this as your first episode, don't believe this. Reset this podcast, remove this bit, and off we go again. Yeah, cruisy.
and we begin again. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
even when he has like the gritty day and he does it all on his own without her, like,
Yeah,
obviously
yeah,
she still dies on the beach. So actually, that's just him being really
yeah.
selfish. He's like, well, you still
Well,
die, but I won't be there. I don't tell you not to
yeah,
go to the beach. I just ignore you and I
yeah.
go and do it all. And you're a bit like, oh, selfish. Yeah, nice.
Classic Cruise.
Yeah,
I did the notice at this time round that they call the Operation Downfall. And I'm not sure that's necessarily setting you up for success. I mean, I know they're probably thinking the downfall of the aliens, but I think I would have questioning that. But like, should we maybe call it something more
should we
uplifting?
make
There's
it?
a
Yeah,
chance that we might
exactly.
win. Yeah.
Are we the bad guys? Yeah, no,
Yeah.
yeah, it's yeah. When people are like, it's your yeah, okay, downfall. You're just like, no,
Yeah.
is that
Okay.
is that
So we
Operation
went to
Slaughter?
Stein.
Do we have to go to Operation Slaughter? Is
Yeah.
that one?
What is that mean?
Human
This doesn't
Shield,
sound like
Operation
that.
Human Shield. Wait, what?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not convinced that this is going to be good. And then I didn't realize this is something I noticed this time that I hadn't noticed before. He's passed. So they're like, oh, yeah, basically he had an advertising agency and then he just
Yeah,
walks into being major as soon as the mimics come along. And you're like, oh, okay. I don't remember that being the background. But yeah, fair
they
enough.
just
Um,
they promote him in. I think the
mm,
aliens and the actions actually stand up quite well. I think because with the
yeah,
aliens
agreed.
they don't focus on them that much, so they're quite sort of quick and
No.
stuff, and they don't like it's
Mm,
that there's no like explaining why they're there or anything. And actually, like yeah, watching
yeah,
them,
good point.
I think it's really good. Like the sort of special effects in the suits and stuff as well, because I think a lot of
Mm,
there was a lot of practical effects in the suits. And again, I think
yeah,
yeah,
okay.
it looks super well. Didn't look dated
Yeah.
at all from when I was watching.
Yeah, no, great. That's funny. I didn't even think about that. So yeah, that just shows you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there
obviously
we go.
was.
Yeah,
Yeah, it
yeah,
worked well. Yeah, and you're right.
yeah,
You
yeah,
don't even didn't even think why the aliens are there. Yeah, and that's where like it comes to these sort of films where it's like it's just we're not trying to do anything too crazy here. We're just trying to take you on a little story. And I know we've discussed this before. You don't necessarily need to know the beginning and the end. This is just a part. Welcome
yeah,
to it. Enjoy it. Goodbye.
yeah, exactly.
And
Yeah.
there may be a sequel, but I think that that works really well. And that's sometimes you just
Yeah,
need these sort of films, right? And I think the difference between this film versus like a classic, just like an Arnie action film or a Sly action film. Cruise does add a different dimension to it, I
yeah,
think, and
yeah,
obviously takes the action up a level. He adds the comedy. He's more diverse as an actor, so I do think he
yeah.
can bring more to it as well. But yeah, was there any questions you thought the film sort of asks or answers?
No, not really. I think like the question of how long you would go before resetting, because obviously like
Mm,
the theory is that you could go as long as you want. So I do think that that's like an interesting twist on it. That actually Like, and then
Well,
even because we even with the ending, if you do think about it a little bit, now he he had the blood again, so now presumably
yeah,
he does reset each time he dies, and so now you're like, well, would you just like keep living your life and reset to that
yeah.
day each
He's gonna
time, or
do
like
your
how
Groundhog
long
Day.
how long are
That
you gonna
idea.
do it? Are you gonna do like 2 weeks? Are you gonna do anything? So
So
I do. I just think with this premise, it's so easy to like, as we said with
yeah,
Groundhog Day, like put yourself in it, and I think it's just such a great one to
yeah.
sort of think, oh well, yeah, actually,
Mm.
maybe Tom Cruise actually thinks this is real, and this is why he's doing all these stunts. 'Cause he's like, well, if I die, I just reset to Edge of Tomorrow, and everyone's like, what? And he's like, yeah, why? And everyone's like, uh
Yeah, yeah. Can you imagine? God, that would be worrying, wouldn't it? Yeah,
But yeah, I mean,
yeah.
you'd
That
do
is.
everything, wouldn't you? You'd do all the stunts you wanted. You'd jump out of a plane. You'd be like, well, I'm just going to reset. So,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You would. So you think he then become? I mean, I don't want to delve into this too much because it is complicated. But you think he basically becomes the Omega at the end? That's kind of what happens, or
yeah, yeah,
yeah, it's a
yeah, I
bit.
don't know.
Yeah, all right. We'll move on. Yeah.
Yeah.
The question I did have, I asked, was like, could we do with more than one Cruise in life? I don't know. Do we need more than one Tom Cruise? You know?
There isn't anyone
Uh,
else. There isn't anyone else like him. I don't think.
no,
It's such
no.
an interesting. I think just his because
Yeah, he's
he's
passed.
tried to be the actor so many times, and I think that's
And I think he did it more so in his early career. Do you
well.
think?
He's if you take out Mission Impossible, as I said at
Yeah.
the beginning, he is not an action. He's not an
No,
action actor. Like
no.
literally, you think about Cocktail, Rain Man, Born on the Fourth of
Mm,
July, Few Good Men, The Firm, Interview with the
yeah.
Vampire, then like Magnolia, Vanilla Sky. These are all like
Yeah.
they're not action movies at all. Even
Mm,
into like yeah, with this obviously is, but then then even after this, like American Made. The Mummy a little
yeah.
bit more, but like, yeah, it's so interesting because I don't think there's anyone
Yeah.
else like him. He's not like he's just a different type of movie star, I think, than arguably there's
Mm,
ever been because he
mm.
can act, and I do think there
Yeah.
was that moment probably around Magnolia, like 99, 2000, Magnolia and Vanilla Sky and Eyes
Yeah.
Wide Shut, where I think he was really trying to go for the Oscar and was like, look,
Yeah. Okay.
recognize me as an actor. And then that didn't
Yeah.
quite happen. So then he starts to
Mm,
go more into sort of the action and stuff like that.
mm.
But
Yeah.
yeah, he's almost, I think, and said before, like I see him as a comedy actor as much as
Yeah.
anything, almost as much as an action
Yeah.
star, because I just think he brings like humor
Yeah.
into places that just like if you have any of the action people, they it always gets too serious, but because of his like
Yeah.
cockiness and stuff, I don't think there's many people that can do
Yeah.
what he does.
And I think if you think about that sort of old school action hero, that sort of Arnie, Sly, sort of Bruce Willis scenario, you'd always say, oh, they've got a great one, no, those witty one-liners. Like that was it. And it was just action with just this, oh, he just said that. Yeah, that's funny. Whereas, but I think you're right with Cruise, it's like there's actual comedy like in placed in it. Like the fact that like in this film, like when he's just running across the road and you're just like, oh, awesome. You think nothing's gonna happen, and then he just gets he just gets
Yeah.
hit by the car and he's dead. And you're like, oh, okay. And it's just like different pieces like that. But I mean, you don't know how much it's him versus Doug, but yeah, I think you're right. He adds a different like Night and Day it's an action movie, but it's almost a comedy movie laced around or action
Yeah.
laced around a comedy movie. Like it's
Yeah. Almost
yeah,
inverses, doesn't it? Where you've got all the comedy and then like
yeah,
you've got one action sequence. Whereas before it was
yeah,
action with like a one-liner. Now it's like,
yeah,
okay, well
yeah,
you've got all the comedy, but just
yeah,
just with like a crazy motorbike
yeah.
chase with balls.
Well,
So
this comes to a good question then, to the deep fake question of, Gosling and Stone and Reeves. Because Reeves is an interesting one because he's more like the old action
yeah.
sort of character where he's good and moody, but I wouldn't say he's necessarily got the same range as Cruise, should
No,
we
I
say?
think I think you would root for Keanu too much. I think that's the great thing
Yeah,
with
that's
Cruz
true.
in this is that actually, as I say, you are quite happy seeing him die loads because he does seem like a bit of a scumbag. Whereas I think with
Yeah,
Keanu, yeah, you're almost you're too bad.
yeah,
Swayze and
he's
the
too
Emily
nice.
Blunt part would be amazing.
Oh,
But
that would be
I think
magic.
again, I think Stone would be fine, but I don't think Gosling could do it as well. I just don't think you'd buy Gosling
Well, have you
in the
seen
Tom Cruise part.
have you seen Fall Guy?
No, I haven't. Yeah,
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 well, this is very similar in that
yeah,
sense to Fall Guy, other than the
yeah,
obviously the repeating piece. And this is almost is very similar in terms of
yeah,
how it's built together. And he's he does more like I would say Cruise is more like narrative comedy, whereas I think
yeah,
Gosling does more physical comedy. Like he'll be
yeah,
like hit with something or something like that. So I think that's
yeah, yeah.
where yeah it would differ. So are we saying then that ultimately we're thinking Stone and Swayze? We're putting into I'm putting in
Well,
the
I had
ultimate.
something.
So
I
Stone
had.
will be the Tom Cruise one, and Swayze will be Emily Blunt. I'm all over this.
He could definitely do it. Yeah, Stone would be able to
Yeah,
do that. Because again, I think
yeah.
she's got that
She's
that.
got
Oh yeah, I
yeah,
don't really like her. So she's that good an actress where you can not be rooting
yeah,
for her. But no, I
yeah.
thought instead leave the main parts, but they're all four of them are in Chase Squad.
Oh,
And
yeah.
Swayze
Okay.
is the guy who goes in the suit without his trousers on.
Yeah.
Because
Obviously.
we know from Roadhouse that
Yeah. Oh,
he's got a nice
all
butt.
this
So
film. You know. Yeah, yeah. Oh,
they out of them all then with the
yeah,
character bashing.
yeah.
Which one did you go for?
Well, I don't know if you're going to be surprised or not to hear this, but obviously I'd have to go for the Omega. So
I said exactly the same thing.
I mean, you've got the option to reset the day every day, which would be great, and it might mean I'll remember things more. So
If you only had 24 hours, you probably remember most things.
yeah.
Oh,
So
amazing. Yeah, I mean
yeah.
the Omega are pretty good, but also I think I'd be an improvement on the Omega because if you have the Alphas who can reset the time,
Yeah.
I'm not sure I'm putting them in battle. I think I'm probably
Yeah.
holding them
Holding them
back a
back.
little bit, right? So
Yeah.
yeah,
That's the challenge, right? You've got all this power, but it's like the Death Star. There's a giant weakness. It's just
if
how it works.
if you get killed, then they can get the power. Yeah, but I mean, what's the chances of that?
Yeah.
Because I see every
Yeah.
day. Well, surely for the first day. No, no, no. It's fine. It's fine. You just
I've
sit
got
there
this.
underwater,
Yeah.
enjoying the Louvre. It's fine. I'd be
Yeah.
fine there,
Yeah.
having some croissants, some pain au chocolat,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
hanging
Just
out,
chilling
miles
out.
away from
Yeah.
everywhere.
So then lines then. There's some good lines in this as we alluded
There's
to.
some great ones.
Yeah.
I love it
Moment
when
star.
the first day when he says to the guy, "I'll take care of Private Cage," and he says, "Oh, what all day?" He says, "Something tells me it won't nearly be all that long."
Yeah.
You're just like, "Oh,
The
great."
opening scene with those few extra actors are
Yeah,
really good. Really good on the army base.
yeah,
What
yeah.
else?
I love it. I love just the line when he says, "You told me to come see you," and she says, "When?" and he just says, "Tomorrow." I think
Yeah,
that's a
yeah,
great
that's a good
line.
one. Yeah.
I think what my favorite line has always been when he goes to tell them on the last day, and he says, "Oh, yeah." Cage says that they know that we're coming. Cage says it's a slaughter, and the guy just says, "Oh, that's great, really great confidence boost for tomorrow. Thanks, Cage."
Yeah. So he's like, well, I might as well just go and die tonight. There's no
Yeah,
point.
he's like, "Oh yeah,
Get
great,
it
thanks. Yeah,
done.
no, they know that we're coming. Yeah, thanks." And then the first
Uh,
time that they show the Omega and stuff, I love the fact that he's like, first of all, this is a terrific presentation. Terrific.
yeah. Yeah.
I like the fact that he's from
Yeah.
an ad agency. He's like, you've got a 3D graphic.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
really great
I'm
presentation,
on board.
guys.
I'm on board. Yeah.
How about you?
Uh,
Any others?
Oh, there was obviously like the silly classic one where he's like, "Hey, there's something wrong with your suit," and they were like,
Yeah.
"Oh, what is it? There's a dead guy in it," and they were like laughing, like classic sort of like army stuff.
That's why we don't care about J Squad. That's why we don't like them.
Yeah, true. There's a bit when he's talking to him, and he said he's talking to one of the officers, and he said, "You're American?" He said, "No, sir, I'm from Kentucky." And that's like, I don't know what
Bill
that means, but
Paxton
I like that.
is a
Yeah,
legend, isn't he?
I know. Yeah, the fact that he was in Weird Science blows my mind. That was so long ago. Anyway,
Nearly
yeah, so
made the
they
list.
were the key ones I
Close.
had.
Yeah, I do.
Really? Yeah.
I also like it when he's saying to Emily Blunt about something, like about, oh, that's, that's really sad, and she just says it's just war. And again, like that's
Yeah.
like I do just
Yeah.
I think this is a really good war movie as well, because I think because you
Yeah.
stay so
Mm.
close to the people who are dying all of the time, and because you see him die so
Yeah.
many times, I just do think
Yeah.
like I almost found it like we would not to compare to Saving Private Ryan because you haven't seen it and I'm not going to watch it
Yeah.
again. But I just think
And it's
like
rubbish.
just the sort of the look and feel of this, because you're in the action and you see them die
Mm.
just over and over again. I think it's very
Yeah.
different to most films because obviously the hero always makes it through. And so I do just
Yeah.
think that like yeah, after this you're just like, yeah, no, it's just war is just
It's
yeah,
awful, isn't
absolutely, yeah,
it?
just absolutely rubbish because yeah,
Yeah.
people just die randomly and there's nothing you can do, and like it almost
Yeah.
yeah, sort of is the antithesis actually, because obviously this is a computer game movie in a way because it's like resetting to the
Mm.
save point each time,
Yeah.
but actually you could do that in quite a flippant way again, but they don't. Like you come away and you just
Yeah.
think like that would really just suck. So
Yeah.
like
And then
yeah,
there's and you have no idea how many times he dies, although they give you a little allude to it because obviously she says,
yeah.
"Oh, I watched the other guy die 300 times." So it gives
Yeah,
you that little,
Hendrix. Oh, you
yeah.
just forget these people so easily.
Well, hold on, just let me reset.
Reset.
Yeah. Did you have any lines to describe the pod?
I thought we've lived through worse. And then I put in brackets, AKA the visitor. So
Oh my God, the trauma of that. That was so bad, that film. I
I just
didn't
thought
even
that
know how that got made.
that's a good way just to think of the top 30, even if you don't like one of the films. We've lived through worse.
Yeah, that is true. We have lived through so much worse. And like the Eric Cantona film as well, that was pretty appalling.
It's classic.
Oh,
How about
yeah.
you? Any that you
Uh,
had to describe?
I had what I'm about to tell you will sound crazy, but you have to listen.
73 pods in.
Yeah. I think we should just start every podcast with that now. Yeah, and then I'll
Now
be like,
listen.
wow, this sounds great. Let's get onto this.
The more I
Um,
talk, the more you're going to believe me. I think that's the next line. So maybe.
yeah.
So yeah,
So
into the
reviews.
reviews, people seem very
Hmm.
concerned, stroke puzzled by the repetitiveness of this movie.
Do they
So
know what it's
literally,
about? Like what?
literally, that's what half of the 3-star reviews about. Not Tom Cruise's best movie,
Bizarre.
and can be a little bit repetitive. Some of the repeats do get repetitive. The problem
Like
with
you
time
need
leaks
it to
is that
repeat so that you
it
know.
can quickly become repetitive.
And that is well known. That is why
Yeah.
scientists have stopped looking into it. They're like, no, come on. There's just no point. There's
And
no
there's
point looking into time loops.
even someone says great movie, a little bit repetitive, but that's the story, of course. You're like, yeah, that is the
Yeah,
story. So why
that
are you
is the
saying it's
point. Yeah.
repetitive?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, someone interestingly watched it with their mum, who hated it and they didn't care. Drove my mother to
Oh.
boredom. Would still recommend it for a night in.
Yeah. It almost like you're like, this was better because my mum hated it. Yeah.
Someone had obviously been reading their film history books as well, because they said interesting, but seemed like Groundhog Day, but in sci-fi. Yes,
Imagine if
yes.
that's what it'd been called, Sci-Fi Groundhog Day. Yeah.
It is like sci-fi. It
Mm,
is like Groundhog Day.
mm.
Someone
It
did.
is.
One person did call out Emily Blunt as a helicopter blade wielding veteran warrior as especially entertaining, which I think is an
Yeah.
absolutely fair shout. And then the shortest
That
review.
scene is amazing.
Yeah,
When she starts coming out with the sword, it's very well directed. Like you just
yeah,
see the
yeah.
sword and it pans. Yeah, it's very good.
Yeah, yeah, no, she's great in this. I think, yeah, she's definitely.
Mm.
I'm not sure that you could, as many other people could do that, because she, yeah, definitely
No.
goes toe to toe with Cruise and is actually the
Yeah.
hero of it. And then someone short review, but said good, but very unlikely.
What?
Yeah, yeah. If you were looking for a true
Yeah.
story or something that was
Mm.
going to happen, don't watch this film. I think that's fair.
Speaking of, I just remembered the titles. I know they had that really random title. I do think Edge of Tomorrow is a good title. Like
Yeah,
having rewatched it now, like
yeah.
I think it's much better than the one you said, rinse, repeat, whatever. Like,
Live, die, repeat. Yeah.
yeah, no, it's not. I mean, it's more just what the film's about. I think Edge of Tomorrow is
Yeah,
more subtle. It's clever.
yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah. That's why the Americans didn't like it. Ooh.
oh, oh dear, we're gonna have to redo this, isn't it?
Apologies to all of
Cruisy.
the
Yeah,
American. Let's just
yeah,
reset.
yeah. What about
I
double
mean,
features? Did you have any double
well,
features on this?
it's only Night and Day, surely. Like you were watching Night and Day
Oh,
again, right? Surely that's
you
the
know
only one that
what?
we're going for.
I was gonna rewatch it because when I was thinking about placing this in the order, I was like, it's the night and day factor. I need to think, is this above or below that? and and so I was gonna rewatch it, but I didn't have enough time. That's a good one, yeah, night and day.
You just
So
got
this is
to
like you
like
said, this is
full on
action
cruise.
comedy, and that's comedy action.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
No, to just be just
Hmm.
be great.
Well,
This
I went
probably
for
first.
Groundhog Day
Do you
because
think?
I
I think it'd
well
be quite repetitive.
because well 3-star review from Andy. Um, well, I would want to see, like as I was saying, like which day would you rather relive? And
Mm,
so I think you watch them both and think, okay, what would I rather do? Because it seems at the start you'd be like, well, obviously you'd do Groundhog Day, and then I can learn how to like become like an Olympian, I can learn the piano or whatever. But it's like, yeah, but you're stuck in this little small town because you're not allowed
yeah,
out, there's no planes, and there's only so many people you can see and meet. Like, I
yeah,
think that eventually would drive you insane.
yeah,
Whereas the other one, you just keep getting shot in the head.
yeah.
So,
But but Cruz obviously has learned how to be a complete badass. So he's also learned stuff that he can then
yeah,
take on to everywhere else. He can now. I mean,
yeah,
he can now kill aliens, but all of the aliens are dead. So
yeah,
maybe that's not the best skill
that's true.
to
Yeah,
have practiced over and over.
yeah.
He's like, God damn it, I should have learned the piano.
What was I doing something else while I was here?
Just gone to
Oh
the
my
bar,
God. Could you
practicing on the
imagine?
piano.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that would have been so good. It's like, it's all right. I'm just gonna have a few months doing this, and then I'll come back.
He didn't think
Yeah.
it through. He's like, right, I'm going to get really
He
good at
hasn't.
killing aliens, and then if I win,
Yeah.
there's not going to be any
Yeah.
aliens. Oh, maybe I need to learn
Yeah.
carpentry as well for
Yeah. He
afterwards.
should have. He should have thought about something. I guess he's good at advertisers, isn't he? So maybe that's where he's just like, I'll just go back to that. But yeah, no, that was my. I think, yeah, I think I'd rather relive this day than the Groundhog Day. But I think it'd be good to compare the two.
Yeah,
But yeah,
nice, nice.
so
So,
yeah.
yeah, what did you get in the algo then? What did
Well,
this
I didn't
entail?
go down the repeat route because I think
Yeah,
it just is, that's a function of this film, but it wouldn't, repeat films just wouldn't be the same as this. I was more down that sort of action comedy film. So yeah, funnily enough, I thought Minority Report, I don't know, maybe it was just maybe the cruise bit just came through to me, and I just kept naming cruise films. War of the Worlds, I thought that was good. It feels like it's very similar. Maybe it's filmed in exactly the same location. That was why. But the Fall Guy as well, which yeah you haven't seen, but
mm,
that is almost it's not identical to this, but it's very very similar in terms of other than the time loop.
yeah,
It's that sort of it's definitely that sort of comedy action rather than yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, what did the algo have?
Well, the algo went for Battleship and a couple of
Mm,
Transformers movies, and then Aliens, which obviously just isn't the
okay, so just
same
went down the
at
alien
all.
route.
But then also went for Starship Troopers.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Which is, I think, is similar. And then Independence Day. And I was like, yeah, because Independence Day's got like the comedy element, the like, don't take this too seriously.
Yeah.
So
yeah, true.
yeah, I think Starship Troopers and Independence Day, because of the comedy aspect of it, I think I think the Algo's got this one.
Yeah. There's that scene, isn't there? Was it with Will Smith when he punches the alien? Was he like, "Welcome to Earth"?
Yeah, and they get the cigars out when they do. Yeah, I think it's it's pretty cheap.
And has that got Bill Paxton in as well? No,
that's Bill Pullman. Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
Bill.
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to tell you which films had Bill Paxton and which ones had Bill Pullman. They're the same person. They're very different.
I was like,
and maybe that's one of the deep fakes, is just put Bill Paxton into all Bill Pullman roles.
Paxton versus Pullman.
That would make Sleepless in Seattle very different.
Yes. And Weird Science, I feel, wouldn't be the same either. It would be quite different. Okay, so it's number 29 on the list. So where is it going?
Yeah, so we literally just put Children of Men as 29. So that kind of bumps it a little bit. And then I thought, well, we had Spy Game at 28. And would I watch this again, or do I prefer this to either of them? And I think the answer is no. So actually, just put it back to 31. I do really like this film. I do think it's really entertaining, and I do think it's a really fun watch. So just dropped it to 31.
Not sure about that. Cruisy. So let's just keep resetting. Where is it on your list, Andy?
Everyone's going to be like, your pod does get a bit repetitive. We're like, leave it in the reviews. So, how about you? You're saying that you're thinking, you're thinking of, is it better or worse than Night and Day? And Night and Day is like top 5, isn't it? So
fourth top is Night and Day. So I think in reflection, Night and Day is better. It's this is good, but there's a couple of things where you're like, so for me, I had it in that's a technical term in the business if you don't know. I'd say Edge of Tomorrow I'd put as 12th, just below Labyrinth, and then just above Spy Game. Do you know what? I was thinking about it because I was like, you know what? I have put Groundhog Day up higher. The thing was, I saw Labyrinth and I was like, I think I'd rather watch Labyrinth again than this. And Labyrinth was really enjoyable. The way that there's just the scenes it moves across.
Yeah.
It was a nice journey. And there's probably a bit of nostalgia in there.
So you get to switch Groundhog Day and Edge of Tomorrow. Would that make more sense? You'd rather watch Groundhog Day, but you'd rather be in this.
I think I would. Yes, exactly that. Yeah. But that's just because that's just my nature. I'd love to be sitting there shooting aliens than learning the piano. So
I should have learned how to do ice sculpting. God damn
it. Oh man, he would definitely. I think he's got the worst of it. You'd go insane, wouldn't you? You really would in that tiny town. So,
okay,
there you are.
Nice. That's it's a good one, right? So on to next week. We've got a great quote. I always thought it'd be better to be a fake somebody than a real nobody. It's a good quote. It's different vibe. Thanks to Tom Miller for the theme song, and cruisy.